Hi, Roy here. Roy reads anything, and this is a channel about eclectic reading, the pleasures of eclectic reading, which for me this week have included vampires, Victorian sensation, and soap. So, diving into the vampires, I finished a novel called I, Dracula by D.S. Crowe, which I really liked. So, just testing a new setup here. So, yeah, I, Dracula, as it sounds, it's an autobiographical account from Dracula himself, the one character in Bram Stoker's novel who doesn't really have his own voice. You know, you only know about him from what other people say he's like, has said, few little notes he writes, whereas now we get a whole letter written by Dracula. And to be honest, I normally avoid origin stories or things that try to give a kind of psychology, try to psychologize, if that's a word, um, characters. But this one, it's really great. So there's loads of. Oh, by the way, no spoilers in what I'm going to say. So yeah, do go and read it yourselves. It's on Kindle. In fact, in the UK, it's Kindle Unlimited. Um, yeah, what am I going to say? That there's lots of clues in Bram Stoker's novel, or sort of hints to a backstory. And in this, we did get for a while. In this, we get a full account from the man or the undead creature himself as to how he came to be from birth. And it's all prequel so far. Looks like there's going to be more novels coming, so that'll be good. So it's things like Dracula's described as having been an alchemist. Well, we know what kind of alchemy did he do and why. And Daniela Crowe is a Romanian author, now lives in Ireland, so she's got a kind of connection with the landscapes that both Dracula as a character and Bram Stoker as an author would have been familiar with, and really is a novel of place. If there's one of the best things about it is the atmosphere of Romania, Wallachia, Transylvania, those places, the land beyond the forest, is really strongly present, and also how that and the real history of Vlad Tepes could have created the character we know as Dracula. So, yep, that gets 5 thumbs up from me, which is good. So, I, Dracula by D.S. Crowe. What have I missed out on saying? Yeah, I'd kind of call it a dark fantasy. Like I say, I'm not big on origin stories normally, but I think Dracula is such a massive cultural thing that he can have multiple origins, a bit like the Joker. And yeah, lots of research into real history has gone into creating the novel. So that is one. I've also read, or continuing to read, Lady Audley's Secret. Post-it notes model's own. So Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Mary Elizabeth Braddon. Mary Elizabeth Braddon was a superstar writer of the Victorian era. This came out in, I think, 1862, and it was a massive seller. Braddon was super famous. She could write in lots of genres, and people would hoover up her stuff. So it's weird that she's not as well known these days. I was surprised by how modern it is, or sort of how it reads like a modern novel. I know some people on here are, they find, Dickens may be difficult, or don't really like to venture back earlier than World War I. But this reads in a very fresh way. I suppose, it possibly counts as a sort of lower level in the brows. It's maybe lower of brow than Dickens or Wilkie Collins say, but it's super entertaining. I mean, I'd say if Dickens is like eating slices of fruit cake that's good but quite dense, and maybe that's all you want in one go, this is more like a packet of biscuits where you just can't keep, you just want to keep having more and more. So, like a lot of these books, it was originally serialized and it's got lots of cliffhangers. It's an unfolding mystery. There's stuff to do with identity and concealment, and it's a detective story. Again, I'm surprised that this isn't sort of put up there in lights as, like, this was the origins of the detective genre. It's even a detective story that explains how detection works as a concept in quite a cool way. So, Victorian sensation, I'm enjoying that. Third thing now, for anyone who's new round here, I'm in the process of working my way through a yard-long shelf of books that I purchased. They're being sold as shabby decor, not as reading, but I'm reading them anyway. And the latest one is a Pear's Cyclopedia from 1954 to 1955. So 54, 55, that's its origins. It probably means it came out in about 1953. Pear's, the soap company, is one of their famous adverts. Started publishing these in Victorian times, the idea being that the sort of newly literate masses who nevertheless couldn't afford masses of textbooks um, could maybe get one book that had all the knowledge in it. So here's all your facts and figures and everything you need to know. And it came out every year. They only finished recently, and that's what it is. If you only have one book that's not fiction, Pear's Cyclopedia. So it's very much a document of its times. The things they include, the things they prioritize. So you get national flags on the end papers. Yeah, maybe you'd get that now. Then the other end papers are given over to medals. So it's only 10 years after the end of World War II. Now you get a handy reference so you can tell your Burma star apart from your Italy star, etc. So, again, perhaps that wouldn't be such a massive priority now. I did meet a guy with a Burma star, actually. Probably not many of them left walking around. Okay, so what do you get in it? What don't you get? You get a list of prominent people. You get a historical calendar, all the dates and events. You get a citizen's guide, which is pretty much telling you how the country's run, down to detail like how libraries work and the way to conduct a meeting. So I kind of think if everyone in the UK had woken up with some sort of amnesia plague, to an extent, the whole running of the country could be reconstructed. The whole, culture and everything could be reconstructed from this book. You got science stuff, you've got a gazetteer and some maps, um, including dear to the hearts of people in Britain, the areas for the shipping forecast, the weather forecast we hear on the radio every morning at like 5 a.m. or whatever. Colour maps. The section that's got the sprayed page edges is the dictionary and the sort of encyclopedia bit. I really like the drawings that introduce every section. You've got these like cartoons involving a family exploring the topics. So yeah, dictionary, obviously that's handy to have. A classical mythology section, which is actually quite useful now with classical mythology retellings being such a vibrant genre. So if you need to tell your sirens apart from your sibyls, they've got your back with that. What else have we got? General information, and represented by our family looking at an owl in a tree. See the classical references bleeding through from one section to another. You've got your oh yeah, this was interesting. I looked up Halloween to confirm my belief that Halloween in this country didn't used to be treated the same as it is now. So Halloween, October the 31st, the eve of All Saints' Day, a time associated, especially in Scotland, with certain pleasing superstitions attractively set forth in Burns's famous poem Halloween. It is the night when young men and maidens are supposed, by observing certain rites, to have their future wives and husbands disclosed to them. End of entry. So that's what Halloween was all about in 1955. What else have we got? Oh yeah, sort of thinking, trying to find links between the books. Looked up vampires. Vampire or werewolf, according to ancient superstition, was a spectre in human form which rose from its grave in the night time and preyed upon the living as they slept, sucking their blood and then returning to the grave. So werewolves lumped in there. Sure that would not be too pleasing to the werewolf community. There's a medical dictionary. So here's where something jumped out to sort of remind me that the 50s wasn't a sort of utopian golden age. Medical dictionary in the H section includes homosexuality, and I won't read the entry because it's dispiriting, but it's homosexuality as a medical condition, and it reminds you that it is illegal in Britain in the case of males. So, okay, not everything in the garden is rosy. You've got your beauty culture. Haven't really heard it called that for a long time. How to deal with your chapped face and hands, etc. And final thing I made a mark. Oh yeah, the massive photography section, which is very scientific. It's like you're going to want to know all of the sort of physics and chemistry of how it works, as well as being able to take pictures. And it's got a similar treatment for television, which is radio, television, and radar are lumped together as topics. Again, you've got our family there. The dad seems to be trying to tune the television in. The mum is sitting passively waiting for the television to come on, and the boy has the world's largest radio valve attached to a radio set. Meanwhile, an aeroplane flies past outside the giant windows of their house. So that's the 1950s. I think I do wonder what I'm going to do with these shabby decor books, because I don't need the decor, but I'll probably keep that one because it's interesting. That's my lot for this week. I'll be back in a bit. I'm going to schedule something else, but we're away on a trip, so not sure I'll get an awful lot done, apart from maybe the odd short. But I will see you soon. Bye. Just unplug the valve to this device here.